Hi there, everybody. Richard Fulmer here, and welcome to the channel, Richard's Rock Rambles. So we're carrying on looking at my top trios, and today we're going to look at that great English band Uriah Heep, who are still a going concern. Started out, when was it? Way back in 1969. I think it was 68, 69, somewhere around there. Yeah, and like I said, they're still going. Their most recent album called Chaos and Color, really good. Current singer Bernie Shaw is now the longest standing vocalist with the band. He's been with them well over 20 years. And I guess they started out as a sort of a psychedelic hard rock band, or probably not psychedelic, more some of the early stuff was quite progressive, really. But they did have a unique sound, and I think a lot of that had to do with the Hammond B3 organ work of Ken Hensley, the guy who was on the guitar, vocals, and keyboards, and he was also the main songwriter. Sadly, no longer with us. In fact, this band has lost so many members over the years. The only original guy left is Mick Box, the guitarist and vocalist. He's still running the ship there for Uriah Heep. So we're going to quickly go through my top three. In fact, my 2 and 3 could always interchange because the one album kind of follows the other. My number one has been number one for quite a while. And I don't know why, maybe it wouldn't be number one for a lot of people, but I have history with it. And as I do with all of the top three, there are a couple of honorable mentions, which I will show after I've shown you the number one. So let's get to it. Coming in at number 3, Demons and Wizards. So this, of course, is the classic lineup, if you like, with David Byron on vocals, Gary Thayne on bass guitar, Mick Box on guitar and vocals, Ken Hensley on vocals, guitar, keyboards, and Lee Kerslake on drums. When people talk about classic Uriah Heep and the big hits, this is the lineup they're talking about. So this album and the one that follows, The Magician's Birthday, which, as I've now given it away, is my number 2. They're kind of similar. The one follows the other. I wouldn't say they're concept albums, but there are storylines within both albums that are kind of similar. This is a remastered version. This has got 3 bonus tracks. Starts off with that great track, The Wizard. And that starts off with a really nice acoustic piece. I'm not sure if that's Ken Hensley playing the guitar there or if it's Mick Box. But regardless, it's a really nice acoustic intro. And then it just gets into the track with some great organ work, like I mentioned. Traveler in Time, that's the second one, with some really interesting drum fills from Lee Kerslake. Excellent drummer. Of course, he would later go on to play with Ozzy, and he released some solo stuff as well. Sadly, also no longer with us, passed away just about 2 years ago, I think. Easy Living, track 3, probably the biggest hit from the album. Full-on rocker. Poet's Justice, Circle of Hands. Excuse me, folks. Circle of Hands is a great showcase for David Byron's vocals. And, this is David Byron at his peak. He could hit those high notes. He could hit the middle notes. He had it all. And sadly, the guy had no self-confidence. He was very unsure of himself, always comparing himself to other singers. But for me, he was just amazing. I mean, they've always been blessed with really good singers, but he was the number one, I think. Rainbow Demon, my favorite track from here, with that brooding intro on the keyboards. Dun, 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 dun. And then David Byron comes in with some incredible vocals and some really nice guitar work. A lot of wah-wah, as per usual, from Mick Box. All My Life, with some high-pitched vocals from David Byron. Paradise and The Spell. I can't remember which of those tracks it is, but there's this sort of to and fro kind of a conversation going between Ken Hensley and David Byron, taking 2 characters. Very good stuff. And then the bonus tracks, like I mentioned, Why, and that's a single version. Then there's Why, extended version, and Home Again to You. So these were all previously unreleased tracks. So I'll quickly show you if there's anything inside. There's a couple of the band shots there. I think that's Ken Hensley with the headphones on. And I used to have this on vinyl many years ago. That's just the lyrics. And the remastering of this is really good. The sound quality is excellent. That's a very small photograph here, how much you can see. That's the band. And yeah, there they are again in their 70s pomp. There we go. That's just a couple of ads for the band and the release. So that's my number 3. Uriah Heep's Demons and Wizards. And then, like I said, coming in at number 2, Magician's Birthday. And both of these album covers done by none other than Roger Dean. Of course, he did a lot of artwork for Yes. And I'm trying to think who else. He had so many bands. Budgie, I think he did some for Budgie. He also did some for Babe Ruth and a whole bunch of others. Anyway, so this is my number 2. Like I said, this is kind of a follow-on. Sunrise, that's the first track. Spider Woman, which is kind of a sort of up-tempo rocker. Blind Eye, Echoes in the Dark, Rain. Beautiful track, Rain. And that's sung by Ken Hensley, I think. And on his solo album, his first solo album called Proud Words on a Dusty Shelf, there's another version of Rain, very similar to this one. Sweet Lorraine, which I think was a hit off here as well. Tales, and then the title track, The Magician's Birthday, which is quite an epic track, quite long. And that's also got like a conversation piece in it. Does tell you a kind of a story. So the two albums do kind of tie in. But whether you listen to that one first or this one first, it doesn't really matter. They're both brilliant. The bonus tracks on here are Silver White Man, previously unreleased version, and Crystal Ball, also previously unreleased. These are both on the Castle Communications remastered label. And these came out in 1996. I think they have since been reissued again, probably with more of a deluxe. I don't have any more deluxe versions. These are the ones I have. Quite happy with them. The sound is great. There's a great live shot of the band when they were really cooking. This just tells you about, there's a few song lyrics in here. Here's a picture of the band. That's Gary Thane, the late Gary Thane, the New Zealand bassist, used to play with Keith Hartley. At the bottom there's Ken Hensley, and that's David Byron. There's Mick Box, and there's Lee Kerslake. So there you have the guys. Excellent lineup. See if there's anything else I can show you. No, that's just another shot, same shot I showed you earlier. So there we go, my number 2, Magician's Birthday. Essential stuff, these two. Gotta have them. And yeah, these are the classic Uriah Heep, I guess. My number 1, though, is an album which didn't feature some of those guys. They hadn't yet joined the band, and that's Look at Yourself. Just love this album for whatever reason. It's just resonates with me. Title track, Look at Yourself, which actually has members of the band Ossie Bisa doing some percussion work. There is an extended version of that track as well, but I think the one on here is just the normal single version. I Want to Be Free, nice rocker. And then, of course, the epic July Morning, you know, their Stairway to Heaven or their Child in Time, Uriah Heep, a track they had to play live. Beautiful keyboard work and some incredible vocals from David Byron. Really high-pitched vocals on that track. Tears in My Eyes, Shadows of Grief, What Should Be Done, and Love Machine. I think What Should Be Done is very proggy. There's lots of time changes in this album, especially on that track, I think. And that's where they get their early sort of prog label from. The tracks on here as well as on the other two that I've just shown you. Then there's bonus tracks, Look at Yourself, the single version, and What's Within My Heart, that's previously unreleased. So who's in the band here? Ken Hensley, still there, organ, piano, guitar, acoustic guitar, and vocal. He was obviously there from the beginning. Mick Box, lead guitar and acoustic guitar. David Byron, lead vocals. Paul Newton on bass guitar and Ian Clark on drums. The first 2 or 3 albums, there was a lot of interchanging with drumming and drumming stools and the bass guitarist. They hadn't yet found the guy that they were looking for, which they would find in Gary Thane. So that's one of those funny mirrors that they use for those shots. That's Mick Box. I'm not sure who that is. That's one of either the bassist or the drummer. And there's Ken Hensley and there's David Byron. And that's the cover. I have got the original vinyl, which I'll show you in a second. There's some strange outfits these guys wore in the 70s. There we go. Uriah Heep. Look at Yourself. Such a cool track. And there they are again. So like I mentioned, I still have the vinyl. And there's the mirror. You can look at yourself. And I think there was a different cover for this, and the American version was slightly different. I think it was a mirror or it was a picture of a tilted mirror, so it wasn't exactly like this. And at the back there you have the band. So there we go. That's my number one, Uriah Heep's Look at Yourself. Such a cool track. It just builds and builds and builds, and some incredible drumming, like I mentioned. Guys from Osibisa, along with Lee Kerslake, really pounding it out. Never become a great live track to do. Just gets everybody up on their feet. So I mentioned there'll be a couple of honorable mentions, ones that didn't quite squeak into my top three. And coming in at number 4, this is a sort of a comeback album from the 80s, 82 in fact, with Lee Kerslake, Pete Golby, a new singer, Bob Daisley, of course he played with Rainbow and a whole bunch of others, Mick Box, and a guy called John Sinclair on keyboards and vocals. There we go. Abominog. How's that for a cover? That'll scare the kiddies. And there they are, in the back. So some of the cool tracks on here, Too Scared to Run. Sorry, I'm spitting on the album here. Chasing Shadows, On the Rebound, that was a big hit from the album. Hot Night in a Cold Town, That's the Way It Is, Prisoner, Hot Persuasion, and Sell Your Soul. Excellent album, well produced. Very much of its time, 80s, a lot more commercial than I would say than the other ones that I've just shown you. But it was a different era, so things had to change, I guess. And then coming in at number 5, going right back to the beginning, that's David Byron with all the cobwebs all over his face. And Uriah Heep, very heavy, very humble. There we go, which is a quote from Charles Dickens. Gypsy, of course, that's a great track. Really excellent, iconic riff. Walking in Your Shadow, that's the slow track, Come Away, Melinda, beautiful vocals there from David Byron. Lucy's Blues, Dream Bear. Real Turned On, I'll Keep On Trying, and Wake Up, Set Your Sights. So that's number 5 for me. Also a really cool album. There we go. There's David Byron. Apparently it took forever to get that stuff off his face. And there's an early shot of the band. So there we go. That's my number 5. And that was my top 3 Uriah Heep albums. Like I said, my number 1 has been a number 1 for a while. My 2 and 3 might chop and change. And Abominog might even sneak in if I do this ranking at a different time. You know, things change. I was actually listening to these just the other night, and, you know, it just doesn't get old. It's such a great band, and they haven't lost anything. They still sound amazing, still touring, and long may they continue, as long as they have their health, I guess. Please, guys, if you're new to the channel, down below, please subscribe. It does help the channel. And give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Any comments, let me know what your top 3 Uriah Heeps are. Be really cool to check that out. And yeah, look after yourselves. Take it easy. It's a bit misty here in Cape Town. Winter's on the way. Every morning now it's mist, and in the evenings it's getting chilly. I have to put the jacket on the dog now. He starts shivering in the evening. So yeah, sure sign that winter's on its way. Have a great week. I'll catch you soon. Bye-bye.